I never thought I'd be sharing this story, but here I am, reliving that ordinary Friday night that turned into anything but. Emma and I had been best friends since middle school, bonding over late-night study sessions and shared lunches. She was everything I wasn't: outgoing, effortlessly funny, the kind of person who could light up a room just by walking into it. Our friendship had only grown stronger over the years, surviving countless movie marathons and coffee-fueled all-nighters. That particular night started like any other. Emma came over after work, her usual bubbly self, carrying a bag of takeout and a bottle of wine. "You're never going to believe the day I had," she said, kicking off her shoes and flopping onto my couch. I rolled my eyes, pretending not to notice how her hair fell perfectly over her shoulders or how her laugh made my stomach flip. "Let me guess, another drama at the office?" I teased, trying to focus on opening the wine while my mind betrayed me. We settled into our usual routine: food, bad reality TV, and the kind of easy banter only best friends can share. But something felt different. Maybe it was the way her smile lingered a little too long, or how she curled up on the couch, her feet brushing against my leg. I told myself I was overthinking things, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen. "Hey," Emma said suddenly, sitting up. "Mind if I grab a quick shower? I feel gross from the commute." My breath caught in my throat. "Yeah, sure. Towels are in the bathroom," I replied, keeping my tone casual despite my racing heart. As she walked toward the bathroom, I forced myself not to watch her go, though my eyes betrayed me by lingering just a second too long. The sound of the shower turning on filled my small apartment, each drop echoing through my thoughts. I tried to focus on the TV, but my attention kept drifting. The image of Emma standing under the stream of water, steam swirling around her, was impossible to ignore. My heart raced as I shook my head, trying to dispel these thoughts. "Stop it," I told myself. "She's your friend. That's all she'll ever be." But the thoughts kept creeping back, no matter how hard I pushed them away. This wasn't new. I'd seen Emma in casual settings plenty of times, but tonight felt different. Too different. And then it happened. "Hey," Emma's voice called out from the bathroom. "Can you grab me a towel? I forgot to get one." My breath caught again. Yeah, I managed, my voice cracking slightly. I grabbed a towel from the cabinet, hesitating for a moment before heading toward the bathroom. The door was slightly ajar, steam billowing out into the hallway. Standing there with the towel, I felt my nerves buzzing. "Just come in," Emma called casually. I froze. "You sure?" "Yeah, it's no big deal. You're acting like we haven't been friends forever," she chuckled. She had a point, but this felt different, more intimate. Swallowing hard, I pushed the door open. The steam was thick, wrapping the small space in hazy warmth. Emma stood in the shower, the curtain pulled halfway closed, revealing just a glimpse of her silhouette. "Thanks," she said, reaching out for the towel. As her hand brushed mine, something inside me froze. My breath caught, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure she could hear it. "No problem," I stammered, my voice shaking slightly. I turned quickly, desperate to escape before she noticed anything else. But just as I reached the door, her voice stopped me. "Hey, wait." I hesitated, gripping the door frame. "Yeah." There was a pause, long enough for the sound of the water to fill the silence. "You've been acting weird lately. Is something going on?" My stomach dropped. "What?" "No, I'm fine," I said quickly, still not turning around. "Come on, I know you better than that. You've been avoiding eye contact all night. Did I do something to upset you?" I shook my head. "No, it's not you. It's nothing." Emma was quiet for a moment, the sound of water slowing as she turned off the shower. "If it's nothing, then why are you blushing?" I froze. "I'm not," I lied, the heat rising to my face betraying me. "You totally are," Emma said, and I could hear the smirk in her voice. She stepped closer, the wet sound of her feet on the tile making my heart race. This wasn't happening. "Seriously, what's going on?" she asked again, her voice quieter now. I couldn't answer. My throat was dry, my mind spinning. And then she said something that made my world stop. Is it about me? My breath hitched. The words hung in the thick, humid air, making my chest tighten. I turned slightly, catching Emma's gaze. Her face was unreadable, somewhere between curiosity and concern. What do you mean? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Emma shrugged, her wet hair dripping onto her shoulders. I don't know. It's just, sometimes I get the feeling there's more going on with you than you let on. I opened my mouth to deny it, to brush it off as a misunderstanding, but the words wouldn't come. Years of unspoken feelings weighed me down, pressing against my chest like a boulder. Emma, I finally said, my voice trembling. Before I could finish, her hand came to rest lightly on my arm. Her touch was warm, grounding, yet it sent a jolt of electricity through me. Hey, she said gently, her tone soft and steady. You can tell me whatever it is. I won't freak out. I glanced at her, standing there in the dim, steamy bathroom, vulnerable and open, waiting. The sincerity in her expression broke me. All the walls I'd built, all the lies I'd told myself to keep things normal, came crashing down. I think about you, I admitted, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. My voice was shaky, barely audible, but the weight of them felt enormous. More than I should, and I know it's complicated, but I can't help it. For a moment, the world stood still. Emma didn't move, her expression unreadable. My heart pounded in my ears, the silence stretching on so long that I thought I had ruined everything. But then, to my absolute shock, she smiled. Why didn't you just say so? She asked, her voice calm and even. I blinked, stunned. You're not mad? Why would I be mad? She said, and I could hear the amusement in her voice. You like me? Big deal. I mean, I'm pretty awesome. Her playful tone broke through my panic, and despite myself, I laughed. You're unbelievable. Yeah, but you love it, she teased, tossing the towel over her shoulder as she turned back toward the shower. Relief and confusion swirled in my chest as I watched her. Emma wasn't angry, but I couldn't tell if she was brushing it off or if there was something more. Hey, Emma said, glancing back at me over her shoulder, her grin tugging at the corner of her mouth. You staying? Or are you going to keep standing there like a statue? My heart skipped a beat. What? She shrugged casually. Relax, I'm kidding mostly. I rolled my eyes, a small smile creeping onto my face. Maybe tonight wasn't going the way I had expected, but it was far from over. Moments of truth. I left the bathroom, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear anything else. Emma's reaction had completely thrown me off balance. She wasn't angry, embarrassed, or uncomfortable. If anything, she seemed curious. I paced the living room, running a hand through my hair, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Every nerve in my body felt electric, like I was teetering on the edge of something monumental. When the bathroom door opened minutes later, my thoughts snapped back to reality. I turned to see Emma standing in the hallway, a towel wrapped around her, her damp hair tousled. She looked so effortlessly confident, so comfortable in her own skin, and it only made me feel more out of place. You good? Emma asked, leaning casually against the wall. I nodded quickly, avoiding her gaze. Yeah, totally. Why wouldn't I be? Emma laughed, that warm, teasing sound that made my stomach flip. You're a terrible liar. You know that? I opened my mouth to protest, but she held up a hand, cutting me off. Relax. I'm not mad. Seriously. I frowned, crossing my arms. You keep saying that, but I don't get it. Most people would freak out if their best friend said they had feelings for them. Emma's expression softened, her usual playful smirk giving way to something more thoughtful. Yeah, but I'm not most people, am I? Her words made my stomach turn with a strange mix of hope and uncertainty. No, I admitted quietly. You're not. She pushed off the wall and walked toward me, her gaze steady and unwavering. Look, I'm not going to lie. This is different. But it's not a bad different, you know? I blinked, caught off guard. What are you saying? Emma rubbed the back of her neck, a rare flicker of nervousness breaking through her usual confidence. I guess I'm saying I don't mind. I mean, you're my best friend. If you feel something, maybe it's worth figuring out together. My jaw dropped. Emma, you've never shown any interest in me like that. She tilted her head, smirking. Haven't I? Maybe I just didn't realize it until now. Her words hit me like a freight train, leaving me speechless. Was she serious? Could this really be happening? Say something, Emma said, her grin fading slightly. You're kind of freaking me out here. I swallowed hard, struggling to find my voice. I don't want you to feel like you have to do this. Emma rolled her eyes, stepping closer until there was almost no space between us. I'm not doing anything I don't want to do. Trust me. Before I could respond, her hand brushed my arm again, sending a jolt through me. She smiled softly, her eyes locking onto mine. I'm curious, okay? And I trust you. So let's just see where this goes. And then, before I could overthink it, before I could let my fears ruin the moment, Emma leaned in. Her lips brushed against mine, tentative at first, like she was testing the waters. But as the kiss deepened, all the doubts and insecurities melted away. Her hands found my waist, pulling me closer, and I melted into her completely. The world around us seemed to fade, leaving only the warmth of her touch and the steady rhythm of our breaths. It was electric, unlike anything I had ever felt before. When we finally pulled apart, Emma's cheeks were flushed, her breathing uneven. Wow, she said softly, laughing under her breath. That was intense. I couldn't help but smile. Yeah, it was. Emma ran a hand through her hair, her grin turning playful again. So does this mean I'm your girlfriend now? Or what? I laughed, shaking my head. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. She smirked, leaning against the back of the couch. Fair enough, but you gotta admit, we've got chemistry. I rolled my eyes, but the grin spreading across my face was impossible to hide. You're impossible. Yeah, but you love it, she teased, her eyes sparkling with mischief. The night carried on, but everything felt different now. Emma's teasing grin, the way she looked at me with a new kind of curiosity, it was like the air between us had shifted. We settled on the couch, a movie playing in the background, though neither of us was really paying attention. Emma sat closer than usual. Our shoulders touched, and every slight brush of her arm against mine sent a wave of electricity through me. I tried to act normal, like this wasn't the most surreal moment of my life, but my mind was racing. Hey, Emma said softly, breaking the silence. I turned to her, my heart pounding in my chest. Yeah, you're not going to regret this, right? She asked, her voice unusually serious. I studied her face, searching for any hint of doubt or hesitation, but there was none. She looked calm, almost sure of herself. No, I said, shaking my head. I could never regret you. Emma smiled, a small, genuine smile that made my chest ache. Good, she said, leaning back against the couch. Because I think this might be the start of something really good. I couldn't stop the grin spreading across my face. As overwhelming as the night had been, her words filled me with a strange, cautious hope. Maybe she was right. Maybe this wasn't as complicated as I had made it out to be in my head. We sat in silence for a while, the warmth of her presence both comforting and nerve-wracking. Every so often, I caught her glancing at me out of the corner of her eye, her lips quirking into a small smile, like she was seeing me in a new light. So, I finally said, breaking the tension, "Is this weird for you?" Emma chuckled, shaking her head. Weird? No. Different, sure, but not in a bad way. Her answer caught me off guard, though I wasn't sure why. I had spent so long convincing myself that this could never happen, that Emma could never see me as anything more than a friend. Yet here she was completely at ease, like this was the most natural thing in the world. You're taking this a lot better than I expected, I admitted. Emma smirked, leaning back with that signature confidence of hers. What can I say? I'm full of surprises. My stomach flipped at the playful tone in her voice. Yeah, you are, I said quietly. The room fell silent again, but this time it wasn't awkward. It felt peaceful, like we had crossed some invisible threshold and found ourselves on the other side together. Finally, Emma turned to me, her expression more serious now. So what now? I blinked, caught off guard. What do you mean? I mean, where do we go from here, she said. Do we just keep things the same? Or do we try something more? Her question hung in the air, and I didn't know how to respond. This was uncharted territory for both of us, and the last thing I wanted was to push her into something she wasn't ready for. Emma must have noticed my hesitation because she reached out, her hand resting on mine. Her touch was steady, reassuring. Hey, she said softly, I'm not asking for all the answers right now. I just want to know how you feel. I took a deep breath, trying to steady the storm of emotions swirling inside me. I feel like this is too good to be true, I admitted. Emma's thumb brushed against the back of my hand, a small but comforting gesture. It's not, she said, her voice steady. I promise. The sincerity in her words made my chest tighten. For the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to believe that maybe, just maybe, this could work. You really mean that? I asked. Yeah, Emma said, her gaze unwavering. I care about you more than I realized. And if this is something you want, then I want it too. Her words hit me like a tidal wave, breaking down the last of my doubts. Emma, I said, my voice trembling as I leaned closer. She closed the distance between us, her lips meeting mine in a kiss that was both tender and passionate. This time, there was no hesitation, no uncertainty, just pure, unfiltered emotion. Her hand slid up to cup my face, pulling me closer as the world around us seemed to fade away. Every touch, every movement felt like a dream come true, and I never wanted it to end. A new beginning, as dawn approached, painting the sky in soft hues of orange and pink. Emma and I found ourselves still wrapped in each other's arms on the couch. The realization that this wasn't just a fleeting moment, but potentially the start of something real and lasting, began to sink in. When Emma finally stirred, her eyes fluttering open to meet mine, I felt a surge of emotions I hadn't prepared for: gratitude, fear, excitement, and an overwhelming sense of belonging. Morning, she murmured, her voice rough with sleep, but carrying that same warmth that had drawn me to her for years. I felt my cheeks heat up as I replied, morning. She stretched lazily, her hair falling in messy waves around her face. You're acting like everything's normal, isn't it? She asked, sitting up and running a hand through her hair. I blinked, confused. Emma, last night was kind of a big deal. She smirked, leaning closer. Yeah, it was, and I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty awesome. Her casual confidence made me laugh despite the whirlwind of thoughts still swirling in my mind. You're impossible, I muttered, shaking my head. And you love it, she teased, poking my side playfully. As the morning progressed, Emma seemed completely at ease with our new dynamic, treating it like the most natural progression of our friendship. I, on the other hand, couldn't stop overthinking. What did this mean for us? Was she really okay with it? Or was she just going along with it to make me happy? My silence must have been noticeable because Emma suddenly grabbed my arm, pulling me to a stop. Hey, she said, her expression softening. What's going on in that head of yours? I hesitated, unsure how to put my thoughts into words. I don't want you to feel like you have to do this, you know? I don't want to mess up what we have. Emma's face softened further, and she placed a hand on my shoulder. Look, I'm not doing anything I don't want to do. Yeah, this is new for me, but it feels right. Being with you feels right. Her words hit me like another tidal wave, washing away the doubts I'd been clinging to. Really? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Emma smiled, her grip on my shoulder tightening. Really? The rest of the day passed in a blur of shared smiles, subtle touches, and quiet moments that felt bigger than they seemed. Every little gesture, from the way Emma leaned closer to the way her hand brushed against mine, felt like a victory. As the sun set, painting the sky in soft hues of orange and pink, we found ourselves sitting on the porch together. Emma reached over, lacing her fingers with mine. "You know," she said thoughtfully, "I never saw this coming. But I'm glad it happened." I smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "Me too." She turned to me, her expression serious. "You've always been there for me, even when I didn't deserve it. Now I want to be there for you." Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes as I leaned against her, my heart full of gratitude and love. For the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to believe that this could work. Emma wasn't just my best friend anymore. She was something more, something I never thought I'd have, but was so grateful to have found. Looking back, I realized that night changed everything. Our friendship evolved into something deeper, more meaningful than either of us could have anticipated. We navigated the complexities of our new relationship with the same honesty and communication that had defined our friendship. Sure, there were challenges. Explaining our relationship to friends and family, dealing with occasional doubts and insecurities. But through it all, we remained committed to exploring this unexpected path together. Months later, as we celebrated our first anniversary, I found myself reflecting on how far we'd come. The journey from best friends to partners had been anything but conventional, but it had taught me that love doesn't always follow predictable paths. Sometimes it sneaks up on you in the most unexpected ways during the most ordinary moments. And sometimes, when you least expect it, something you thought was impossible becomes possible and turns out to be better than you ever imagined. Now, when people ask how Emma and I got together, I simply smile and say, it's a story I never thought I'd share. Because sometimes, the most extraordinary love stories begin with the simplest of beginnings. Two friends, a steamy bathroom, and the courage to embrace the unexpected. Have you ever had a moment where you thought something was impossible, only for it to turn out better than you imagined? How did you handle it? Would you have taken the risk if you were in my shoes? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.